shit, boy, is this a motherfucking JoJo's reference? Yes, if you've hung around this community for any extended period of time, or sometimes even if you haven't, you would have definitely come across someone or something that would have exposed you to the weird and wonderful world of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's bold, it's brash, and to any outsider it probably makes absolutely no fucking sense. But for whatever reason, JoJo seems to have become one of the most loved franchises in this modern anime era. And if you're an active part of this anime community, there is no running away from it. It's rare to see a franchise so unanimously shrouded in love with such a wide cultural reach in our community, fueled by a fanbase so eager and passionate to share it. Which begs the question, why do people seem to bloody love JoJo so much? How has this franchise seeped into modern anime culture so deeply, using its arsenal of countless memes, passionate fans, and weird poses to get where it is today, especially considering it's over 25 years old now? So join me as I take a closer look at the bizarre world of JoJo's and its popularity in my attempt to understand. Holy shit, guys, he said Stan! Was that a fucking JoJo's reference? For fuck's sake. Now, looking at the overwhelmingly positive light JoJo's is surrounded in and the passion of its fandom, you could easily assume that couldn't this all just be because the series is really good? Which it is. Nice! The passion and care put into the new adaptation by David Productions can plainly be seen, and it's definitely deserving of the positive reception it's gotten critically. I may joke about it, but I have a lot of positive things to say about JoJo's, some of which I've been saying far before the new adaptation came to be, but its appeal is something that many other people have already been able to dissect, so I won't be doing so here. Simply put though, it's a completely unique and fascinating experience when compared to your average shonen action series. When someone's done watching the 4 parts currently adapted and feel like they need to watch something similar, there's nothing you can really do beyond just consuming more JoJo's and other mediums, and it's amazing to think that a story plotted in the 80s still feels fresher than most contemporary anime, and there has never been anything quite like it. However, viewing it through a critical lens, it has a good number of flaws, which is inevitable coming from a franchise started in the 80s adapted to the modern day, but these are hardly ever mentioned or even cared about in the general consensus, so I think there's more to it than just the series being good. A positive critical reception doesn't always equate to the love and passion seen surrounding the JoJo's franchise, and you only see something like this on the rare occasion when the show comes along that is both positively received critically and immensely popular. So just how popular is JoJo's really? Well, in Japan it's no question really, as the franchise is one of the most influential to come out of the world of anime and manga. The manga has been steadily running for over 25 years to this day, being one of the best-selling manga of all time, and the amount of things that have either been directly influenced or referenced JoJo's is ridiculous. From music, gaming, anime, and other manga, there are so many JoJo's references that exist. I'm pretty sure that we will eventually reach a time that JoJo's has been running for so long it'll reach a singularity where everything becomes a JoJo's reference.
ジョジョの奇妙な冒険を知らないというの？知らない。あなたがモテない理由がわかりました。
But while its popularity and influence in Japan cannot be understated, it hasn't had the easiest time gaining traction outside of that. So from now on, when I refer to JoJo's popularity, I am talking about it from a perspective outside of Japan. And here in the West, JoJo had an obscure cult following at best for the longest time. With only a short OVA series, subpar scanlations, and out-of-print volumes of Part 3 alone to draw people in, it was a far cry from the spread it has now. It's only really gained popularity since David Productions started giving it the long overdue anime adaptation it thoroughly deserved. But considering how vocal the fanbase is and how often we see JoJo's memes and references floating around in our community, you'd think that JoJo's was close to mainstream success. But while trying to look for actual numbers to back this up, whether it be its popularity on MAL, view data on streaming sites, or activity and upvotes gained on Reddit, I was hard pressed to find any concrete data to point at JoJo's being any more popular than the standard hot anime to come out per season, often being beaten out by a few shows in it. So why does it seem like the cultural reach of this franchise goes much further than any of these other shows? Well, to answer that, let's look a bit deeper at the culture of JoJo's itself, especially since culture and history is such an important part in defining what JoJo's is. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is an epic saga spanning generations, but one of the reasons it's been able to survive for as long as it has is because every part in JoJo's is so unique and diverse. For those unaware, the story is separated into parts, with every part starring a new member of the Joestar lineage that differs in cast, setting, tone, and sometimes genre, all brimming with their own pop culture influences and references. Global culture is deeply ingrained in this franchise's roots and a big part of what makes JoJo feel unique. Setting aside the countless music references in the names of the characters and stands, let's take a look at some of these influences. Part 1, Phantom Blood, starts us off in 19th century Britain in the time of Jack the Ripper, with the heavy inclusion of vampires being somewhat of a love letter to Bram Stoker's Dracula. Coming out during the late 80s, it was an era where stars like Stallone and Arnie were everyday action stars on the big screen, which was a huge inspiration to the bulky, muscly designs that were a staple in these early days, along with the iconic Fist of the North Star.
Who the hell are you? Jonathan Joestar.
The early franchise can almost be viewed as a celebration of culture at the time, and this can truly be seen in Part 2, Battle Tendency, which switches us over to America, and it is here where the 80s culture and the over-the-top bravado of the action movies of the time get a chance to truly shine, which it does. Combined with more global influences, World War II, Nazis, and villains heavily influenced by Egyptian, Japanese, and Roman statues of gods. All this leads to Stardust Crusaders, where Araki fully embraces the global influence, plotting a road trip style story inspired by Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days, taking our crew to all sorts of exotic places internationally, and with this flexibility of setting came the chance for Araki's external influences to truly run wild. His love for Western horror was made even more evident with characters like Eniyaba and Hanged Man, and other villains reminiscent of the premise seen on cult horror flicks like Nightmare on Elm Street and Child's Play. Whole Horse as a character was spawned from his love of westerns, and hell, more importantly, Jotaro was specifically inspired by Clint Eastwood movies, with both his signature pose and even his catchphrase being inspired by Eastwood's iconic images and attitudes in certain films.
Go ahead. Make my day.
JoJo's isn't just the inspiration for much of anime pop culture in Japan, it's itself the seething with international pop culture references and influences to the bone. Every part adding something new and evolving with real world culture, some acting almost like a time capsule of culture at the time. These roots are part of why JoJo's has such a unique flavour. Its influence and appeal doesn't just stem from Japan, but it is global, which combined with its absolutely bizarre nature provides the perfect ingredients to fuel a new phenomenon that has hit our modern culture. So you know what? Let's change gears a bit. Let's fuck everything up and talk about something stupid. Let's talk about memes. Let's be real here. Memes are stupid. Memes are funny. Memes are a massive part of our modern culture. Shut up. Yes, if you're a part of any social media platform, then you are likely to see them every day. Many people can consume news and world events through the perception of memes alone, and though I'm not sure anyone can properly define what a meme is, the best definition I've found is an idea, behavior, or style that spreads from person to person within a culture, which I'm not sure how accurately it can be used to describe every way the term meme is being used now, but I think the important aspects to focus on is the ability of mass replication and how much power that holds. It's hilariously terrifying to think that what started as some stupid macro images has become an integral part of modern culture. As much as we like to joke and laugh at them, we shouldn't dismiss the power of them. Careers have been started and ended overnight because of them. Amazing things can be achieved with it, and let's not forget that many believe that this power of simple mass replication played a part in electing a candidate into the highest power of office in the world. A catchy meme can spread awareness within a community like wildfire, and this is no different for the anime community. Think about how many of your own first exposures to an anime have been through a random GIF or macro image on Twitter and Facebook. Now, with this in mind, what idea, behavior, or style from the JoJo's franchise can we take and easily spread within a culture? The JoJo franchise is a full-on meme-making machine, stemming from its iconic characteristics and just how unique it is. There is nothing even in anime quite like JoJo's, and with every new part being so unique and fresh, the well never dries up. So much of JoJo's doesn't make sense out of context and oftentimes in context, leading to spreadable tidbits that people can enjoy even if they have no idea what the fuck JoJo's is about. I know more people who only know JoJo's through the memes and references than have actually watched the show, and a huge part of its apparent popularity comes from the amount of times you see a JoJo meme and people both jokingly and non-jokingly referencing it all the goddamn time. To say that JoJo's works well with modern meme culture is an understatement. The franchise was nigh on built to thrive in it. With its deep roots in pop culture and its never-ending pool of spreadable characteristics, it has seethed its way into the consensus of modern anime community, which is amazing to think that this all stems from a story written 20-odd years ago. With its influence from vintage Western pop culture, it itself has become an integral part of modern anime pop culture here in the West. Which, the more you think about, there is only one way we can properly describe this phenomenon. bizarre. We've gotten to a point where the memes and this culture surrounding JoJo's may be more well known than JoJo's itself. But while these stupid memes gives the franchise the spread and attention, what gives the franchise its power is undoubtedly the fan base. I don't think anyone will disagree with me in saying that within this anime community, one of the most outspoken and noticeable of them all lies within the JoJo's fandom. Though the critical reception of the anime is partly responsible for this, I think a big reason lies within its potential for fan-base investment and how the franchise presents itself. Why is it that multimedia titans like Star Wars and Marvels have such a dedicated and passionate fan base? It's because there is so much more to them than just the movies or comics that make up the lore and appeal of a franchise at large. Even looking at anime, be it Gundam, the Fate series, even something like Pokemon to a lesser extent. If you get into the Gundam franchise, for example, you've got hundreds of episodes of anime spread across multiple timelines, and that's just the absolute floor level. There's manga, novels, video games, and not forgetting the all-important model kits. You can spend years constantly consuming the media and merchandise of franchises like this, and still end up with things you've yet to come across. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has the potential for huge fan-base investment in the way very few things do. Each part has their own set of characteristics and rules, countless stand users with interesting abilities, and a deep root in pop culture. Hell, how many JoJo's fans out there have decided to start listening to a band or song entirely because there was a stand user named after them? How many people who have gotten into the franchise through the recent adaptations have gone on to read all of the 20 plus years worth of manga? All this done under the flagship of an anime series that is obviously being handled with much passion and love, who are most likely fans themselves. There is so much of this franchise to explore and latch onto, but with the way the franchise presents itself, there is no such thing as just casually being a JoJo's fan. Part of being a JoJo's fan is embracing the over-the-top bravado that the series relishes in, surrendering yourself to its eccentricities to become a part of it, which is no doubt why the JoJo's fandom is one of the most passionate, outspoken, and eccentric fandoms in anime. So much so that the idea of referencing JoJo at any given opportunity has become a meme itself, and to that end, passionately loving JoJo's and expressing that loudly has become a part of this culture. At the end of the day, there is no simple way to describe this strange enigma that is the JoJo's franchise. For a 25-plus-year-old franchise to seemingly mesh so perfectly with the spreadable meme culture of today in itself is strange, but I think what's even more amazing is that for as long as it has been running, there has never been anything quite like it. It's a unique entity brimming with pop culture, global appeal, and various other influences while being able to stand on its own without any of that. It's a highly entertaining romp that stands up, shouts to its heart's content, and refuses to be ignored. And in doing so has created a fandom cultivated out of passion and love, producing this culture around it that seemingly has this bizarre mind of its own, much like the show itself. Whatever it is, JoJo's currently sits in a kind of weird place. Outside of its obvious influence and popularity in Japan, it has become a small cultural phenomenon for dedicated fans here, where the culture surrounding the franchise may actually be better known than the franchise itself. It's in this space just below mainstream success, but still instantly recognizable for anyone who spent a decent amount of time in the anime fandom. And I think because it's in this sweet spot that you rarely see anything negative about it. It has enough critical backing, a very dedicated fan base, a perfect platform for its unique culture to spread, but just enough popularity that it doesn't tip it over the breaking point. Which is why this franchise is so loved and seemingly can do nothing wrong. So the next time you see an out of context JoJo gif, or millions of comments referencing it, or a group of people doing weird ass poses, remember that weirdly enough, that has become part of what JoJo's is about. And as much as I try to describe it, there is no way to fully comprehend it unless you venture into the world yourself. Because you know what? It's not just the poses, it's not just the memes, the loud fan base, the great OPs, the works of enemy stands, the beautiful Dwangs, the immortally young Araki, the never-ending manga, the Dios, the Waldo, the references, the pop culture, or the great anime. It's just JoJo's.
She keeps a Moet Chandon in a pretty cabinet. Let them eat cake, she says, just like Marie Antoinette.
Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much this month to Thrones Melt, Jared Cattell, Gabe Brown, Oni-chan by Mario 3rd Season, and everyone else on Patreon for helping to support this channel and making this video possible. I'm actually back in the UK briefly, so I'll be attending MCM next month if any of you are coming. And now, maybe that I've made this video, people will stop commenting about JoJo's in the comments on my other videos. Anyway, that's it from me. You can follow me on Twitter and Facebook if you want to know what I'm up to. But until then, I'll see you all next time.